an incident gets reported. Someone writes a summary, maybe talks to a witness, and closes it out the same day. 3 months later, the same type of incident happens again, because nobody actually found out why it happened the first time. The report existed. The investigation didn't. That gap is where most EHS programs lose ground, not from a lack of reporting, but from reports that never get dug into deep enough to find the real cause. Here's how to investigate a workplace incident properly, step by step. Step 1. Secure the scene and gather initial facts. Before anything else, address any ongoing hazard. If any equipment is involved, it may need to be locked out or shut down. If there's a spill or exposure risk, that gets contained first. Nobody investigates a live hazard. They control it. Once the area is safe, protect the scene itself. Don't let people clean up, move equipment, or fix anything before it's documented. Photograph the area from multiple angles, the equipment involved, any visible damage, and the general layout of the space. If there's CCTV coverage nearby, pull that footage before it gets overwritten. Some systems only retain a few days of recording, then capture the basic facts while they're still fresh. Who was involved, what time it happened, what equipment or chemicals were present, and who witnessed it. This step is about capturing facts and evidence, not conclusions. Write down what happened, not what you think caused it. That distinction matters, because jumping to a cause too early is how investigations miss the real problem. This is where having EHS software with offline capabilities makes a real difference. You can photograph the scene, log the facts, and timestamp everything right there on site, even with no signal, instead of trying to reconstruct details later from memory once you're back at a desk with a connection. Step 2. Interview witnesses separately. Talk to each witness on their own, not in a group. When people are interviewed together, accounts start to blend, and someone's memory of what happened gets overwritten by what someone else said first. The goal of these interviews is to build a timeline. What happened first, what happened next, and in what order. A clear timeline is often what reveals the actual sequence of failures. Before you start, tell each witness plainly that this isn't about blame. Make it clear the investigation exists to prevent the same thing from happening to someone else, not to find someone to hold responsible. People give more accurate, more complete accounts when they're not worried about getting themselves or a coworker in trouble. Ask open questions. What did you see? Not, did you see the guard fall off the machine? Let the witness describe it in their own words before asking anything specific. Step 3. Identify the root cause with the 5 whys. Most incidents have a surface cause and a root cause. Here's how that plays out with the 5 whys. A worker slipped. Why? Wet. Why was the floor wet? A pipe was leaking. Why was it leaking? A seal had worn out. Why had it worn out? It hadn't been inspected in 6 months. Why hadn't it been inspected? There was no inspection schedule in place for that equipment. That's the root cause, not the wet floor, not even the leaking pipe, but a missing inspection schedule. If your investigation stops at, the floor was wet, you'll mop it up, and the same leak will cause the same incident again next month. This is exactly what an EHS software's investigation module is built to capture. Instead of writing the 5 whys out in a document that gets buried after the report is closed, you log each why directly against the incident record, and the final root cause connects straight into a CAPA. With EHS software, the missing inspection schedule becomes an assigned corrective action with an owner and a deadline. Step 4. Evaluate contributing factors, not just the root cause. The 5 whys gets you to one root cause, and that's essential. But it can also make an incident look simpler than it actually was, because it follows a single chain of why down to one answer. In reality, that root cause usually isn't acting alone. Alongside the missing inspection schedule, there might also be a training gap, where the worker wasn't shown how to spot a worn seal, or a communication gap, where a previous near miss on the same pipe was never reported. These contributing factors don't replace the root cause, they sit alongside it. This matters because fixing only the root cause can leave the other gaps in place. And one of those other gaps is often what causes the next incident, even after the first one's been addressed. Step 5. Document your findings. Once you know what happened, the root cause, and the contributing factors, write it up clearly. What happened, what the root cause was, what contributing factors were involved, and how you arrived at that conclusion. This record matters beyond just this one incident. If a regulator or auditor asks about it later, a clear, well-documented investigation shows your process actually works, not just that an incident happened and got closed. Step 6. Assign corrective actions. Findings on their own don't fix anything. Each root cause and contributing factor needs a corrective action assigned to a specific person with a specific deadline, whether that's setting up an inspection schedule, retraining a worker, or fixing a reporting gap. An investigation that ends with a report but no assigned fix hasn't actually closed anything. It's just a well-written explanation of a problem that's still there. This is where a CAPA, corrective and preventive action, tracked in your EHS software, earns its place. The fix stays open and visible until someone actually closes it. But assigning the action isn't the end of it either. Go back and check that it was actually implemented, not just marked complete. Was the inspection schedule actually set up? Was the training actually delivered? A CAPA that gets closed on paper but never verified on the floor leaves you exactly as exposed as if it was never assigned at all. Step 7. Check for similar incidents and patterns. Before you close the investigation completely, look back at your incident history for anything similar. Has this same equipment, this same task, or this same location shown up in other reports, even ones that seemed unrelated at the time? A single incident can look isolated on its own. 3 incidents involving the same pipe, the same machine, or the same shift start to look like a pattern, but only if you can actually see them side by side. This is exactly what trend analysis in an EHS software's incident dashboard is built for, surfacing incidents by type, location, or equipment over time. So you catch the pattern before it turns into something worse than the incident you're investigating right now. A good investigation doesn't end with knowing what happened. It ends with the same incident becoming less likely to happen again. If you're running investigations in a spreadsheet or a shared doc, keeping root cause analysis, contributing factors, and corrective actions connected to the original incident gets harder every time. But when all the information lives in one record, tied to the same incident from the first report to the final fix, nothing gets lost in between. You can see at a glance which actions are still open, which ones were actually verified, and whether the same root cause is quietly showing up across different incidents. That's the difference between a stack of investigation reports and a real picture of what's going wrong. To see how this works in your own EHS program, check out EHS Solution by SDS Manager.